Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. And I must say, Andy, I'm always a little extra juiced when we do it in StreamYard. For those of you that don't know, we don't actually get to hear the theme song when we do it on Ninja. It's quiet. That's when we have all the graphics to the side and stuff. But when we get into StreamYard, we get to hear it. It peps me up a little bit. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm jacked to be here, and we do have a special guest. He's a little busy at the moment. He's going to pop in when he gets a chance. We're going to start off with our picks and go through our normal stuff, and maybe end up hustling through that at the end if suddenly he shows up. But Drew Dinsick of the Deep Dive and various other stuff, he's all over the place. He's going to pop in. He's been handicapping the Olympics, which has been fun because finally limits are reasonable. There was a lot of, this is only available at like 3 places in Europe, and everybody we know over there's banned on these books because they're just, it was like shitty, soft shops over there where any of these people who are handicapping the Olympics, like actively and not just doing it for funsies, those kind of people are, if not full on APs, are close enough where they're not being able to bet at places like that. So it was tricky at first, but a few places have opened some nice limits on things. The metal markets are not as robust as they were for the summer. Bookmaker was taking a K on every metal market with rebets. If you wanted, you could get pretty wild on that. There's still some places that are taking some decent amounts on this if you really want to get involved in short track speed skating or things of that ilk, which we will. Opening ceremonies tomorrow, I believe. There was some women's hockey. It is similar to soccer, where they start with some of these early matches and end up going into because it's a team tournament like that, like soccer, you can't have that in 2 weeks. They end up needing a little time. Drew's already here. He's screwing up all the timing by showing up early. Just pop him in and make him listen to our basketball picks.
He likes basketball anyway, and I might have stolen one of these from him.
This doesn't feel like punishment at all. I'm curious what you guys are going today.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say on mine. I'm just going to read them because I was busy this morning though. So yeah, and Leg Show points out it was a 50% day. I was 3-3. I was saying to Drew after the stream last night, I was 2-3 going into the late one, which is like my least favorite thing, needing that last one to just juice out. And thank God that game was an easy over. Dayton, that Dayton game, it was like a 120 with 75 points in the first half. So I was able to rest easy, go enjoy some drinks with the wife last night. But yeah, if you want to tell me what you got in the association, I'll tell you what I got in the amateurs, and then we'll move on to some Olympic stuff.
I like that plan. Just 2 totals for me today. Yeah, 1-1 yesterday. Got our over, but the Cavaliers lost outright to the Rockets. I'm not really sure what the heck that was. I have to go back through that box score a little bit later just to see what was going on there. But would bet the Cavaliers again, honestly. We got the best of the number and so on and so forth. But 2 totals today, both overs here, Bulls, Raptors. A lot of things here just working in general for your overs. My numbers actually this morning had this pretty much right on 222, close to 223. But then you kind of layer in things like the Bulls injuries, missing Lonzo Ball, missing Alex Caruso. Those are their 2 best defensive players, their 2 best perimeter defensive players. Makes things a lot easier for these Raptors guards. You also then layer in the fact that the Raptors have been significantly better at home, especially Fred VanVleet. It's been pretty solid player props for him. Take his overs at home, take his unders on the road. It started to balance out a little bit the last couple road games, but the Raptors in general, much better scoring at home, and the Bulls have just been putting up points in bunches, again, without kind of their defensive stalwart guard. So we'll go over 222 or better there. And then Spurs Heat. This is another spot where I'm still trying to figure out some of these Heat totals. I've basically been over the Heat in some way, shape, or form every game probably for the last week and a half, and the numbers continue to kind of stagnate despite how many points they're putting up. It's, I think, a combination of Kyle Lowry being out. It's bad for the defense, allows them to pick up the pace a little bit. Lowry generally plays at a slower pace, so I think you're seeing some quicker games here, and are a Spurs team that might be without Duante Murray, but in general is pretty healthy here and continues to be one of the fastest teams in the league. So, barring some sort of bad shooting anomaly here, I don't see how this game doesn't get to 224, 225 here. So Bulls Raptors over 222, Spurs Heat over 221.
Thoughts, Dinsick?
I'm with you on both of these. I
Okay.
especially like the Bulls Raptors 222. I think you caught the bottom of the market there. We saw some under steam come in early on that one that I don't get. Raptors, of course, playing in Scotiabank with no fans. In general, that's a high, plus EV shooting expectation for them. And the Bulls, one of the fastest teams. Actually, they probably are the fastest team. I haven't looked at pace in a while, but I feel like the Bulls run the fastest pace in the NBA. So extra possessions plus better than expected shooting. That one might be a rocking chair winner. Yeah,
that's actually an alt total I'll be on. Bulls overs are the new Bulls for me. Like that feels like it's like 247. I'm going to call it now. It lands on 247.
Wow.
Is that what you had in your Bulls model?
Yeah,
Bulls 147, Raptors 100.
I do remember. I did take my old college basketball model and tried to put the NBA teams into it once. I spent an hour scraping the proper data, and it spit out like, oh, the Knicks are really good. This was 3 years ago. That wasn't right. That wasn't right at all. I was like, well, this makes me mad. I spent a lot of time on this, so I will have much less to say because I had a doctor's appointment this morning. Didn't get a lot of time. I got into work early, checked the overnights, put in my plays, and then I had to go down to, it's only a few blocks away, but had to get my Adderall refilled. So had to go take care of that this morning, and I really didn't write down any notes other than I played these. Some of them moved. I wish I'd have put them in earlier because some of them moved even before I could get them in on BETSPERTS, especially some of these totals on like smaller schools. If there's like one or two people that agree with me, like yesterday, somebody was teasing me about the Lamar under, not even close. Yeah, under 146. That there was like 175 points in that game. A couple other people were on that, and it shot down. So follow me on BETSPERTS if you want them right away. I'll try to enter them earlier because Jesus Christ, some of these moves. But Irvine over 127.5. Little Rock under 140.5. That's one that is starting to move. UT Martin, again, this is down in 153 already. I think that's still playable under 154.5 for me this morning. Portland over 132, and the fight St. Thomas Tommies. It has been many, many years that Minnesota, my state, has only had one Division I college basketball team. And South Dakota has two, North Dakota has two, fucking even Nebraska has a few. Finally, we have another one. So St. Thomas +5, +5.5. And then App State over 125.5. Utah Valley, hopefully a late game. I like a little late one on a Thursday night, over 135. And then down in the extra added games, some Sacred Heart, some Incarnate Word, going with some religious schools this day. I like that. Incarnate Word probably good to 8.5. I think that's like a 5-point game. I like that. I don't take home teams all that often. And then Sacred Heart, I think that one maybe has moved a little too, but I think that's good down to like 5. And Liberty over. I know some people that are playing Liberty. I'm on the total.
Liberty.
I never can place a bet without singing that. My fucking 6-year-old does that. Drives me up the wall. Drew, any thoughts on the Sacred Heart +6?
Well, I mean, Sacred Heart is that's my squad. My fare there is 5.5 though. So
you
it's
name
tough
the
for me
state.
It's tough for me to give up. Sacred Heart, New York?
Close. Dan knows.
Pennsylvania?
Connecticut.
It might be.
Connecticut. Okay. I knew it was
a Sacred Heart High School.
Uh-oh. These usually don't turn out well. Going head-to-head with West and Incarnate Word.
Oh, really?
Hopefully they played it early. Yeah.
Maybe Incarnate Word, huh? Oh, maybe that's why you have value.
Yeah, maybe that's why I have value. Once in a while, they'll play something and pound the piss out of it, and I'll come back on the other side, and maybe we can both win. That'd be awful nice.
Ooh, Fairfield, Connecticut, so very close to New York.
Fairfield and Sacred Heart, crosstown rivals.
FU.
That's fascinating.
Yes, maybe.
Do you know the Sacred Heart mascot?
What's that? Is the Pioneers.
Pioneers. Why are they Pioneers in Fairfield, Connecticut?
Because everybody probably just left Fairfield, Connecticut to go on the Oregon Trail or whatnot, or across the old Cumberland Gap.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I hadn't even
A
thought
little
of
bit
that.
of
It's
history.
probably something religious, and they wanted to change it.
I forgot we were on StreamYard. I should have put my green screen up. I'm just sitting here with the boring yellow background. Well, let's dip into the Olympics. Alex, have you looked at anything at all? I know it's sitting in Pennsylvania. You have all the legal books as well. You have a ton of outs. Have you peeked at any of the markets yet?
I've been kind of scrolling through, and it's tough for me to make heads or tails of this. A lot of these events are, the curling is stuff that I'm always close to. I actually like fading Canadian curling teams. I feel like that's just an angle where the Canadian teams, they just take all the stinking money in the world. And you go in sometimes, and they're these huge favorites, as they should be. But every once in a while, I'll kind of try to find some spots to fade them a little bit. But in general, the Winter Olympics are tough. I try to find ways to be patriotic, maybe back the USA. And again, I saw Canadian bacon again last week, so I'm feeling pretty anti-Canada right now.
I like
that's fading Canadian curling. That did you well in 2018. The Canadians were heavy chalk in all three curling events,
and they only got one.
Did they even get one, or did they get swept?
They did get the mixed. I believe they got the mixed one.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I think they got one of the three.
They do some weird stuff. Like, I was trying to dig into curling a little bit because I was talking to a guy yesterday who's like really into curling and knows this stuff, and I didn't want to be like a total lunatic. And I was going Ken Palm's curling ratings, just kind of getting familiar with like, that's right. And what was pretty clear is his perspective on this is a guy who watches curling and lives in Canada, watches curling all the time, very knowledgeable. And his perspective on who was good and how they stacked up, very different than Ken Palm's ratings in general. So there may be edges in curling, and this guy was very pro Canada, and he was basically like, there's so many good Canadian curlers that they don't just like take the one or two best and have them do everything. They literally are picking different people for each role and responsibility and stuff. So it's like they have the best men's curler and the best skip in the world, but he's not doing the doubles on the men's side. They have like a different guy who's doing the men's doubles. Similarly, they have one of the best women's skips in the world. They didn't take her because she doesn't have experience at the Olympics. They went and they got like a feisty vet who's like Ken Palm's like 12th rated skip on the women's side.
Jenny Jones.
That's right.
Yeah.
Curling's
big. Like, I'm literally, from where I sit right now, I'm probably 3 blocks away from a curling arena. It's a hockey arena too. Obviously, there's several hockey arenas there, and there's a big picture of whatever guy we had that went from our town that went on the Miracle on Ice team. But there's a lot of curling that goes around in the area, and it is wild how big it is up here north. And
I can give you
kind of a lunatic take from Chernoff, and I like Chernoff, and I like his football take. He said like basically the curling market is efficient because Ken Palm has ratings on it, and the college basketball numbers, like college basketball is based on Ken Palm, and that was his analog, saying like Ken Palm does this, and he's it's like, I don't know, college basketball is kind of beatable for a lot of people too. I think somebody else said that, but
yeah, but I agree with this point in the context of the other Olympic events, right? Like, if there's one Olympic event that has any data to help support a handicap, it's curling. Like, a lot of the other stuff is like
not hockey.
Well, the hockey is a lot of amateurs, and I mean, maybe
I guess you're right.
Maybe really well, like some of the amateur, maybe if you handicap KHL or something, like the true strength of the Russian team. But I don't know that there's a ton of data on that. I think curling, there is a ton of data. I will tell you, a real live look. They started curling early. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a couple of rounds of mixed doubles have been contested, including what was the most anticipated, Canada versus Great Britain. Great Britain has the number 2 men's skip in the world on their mixed doubles team. Instead of, Canada throws some schmo out on there, right? Great Britain got the better of Canada yesterday, 6-4, and they are now 2-1 in the mixed doubles, where Canada is 1-1. Great Britain did beat the tar out of Sweden, but then turned around and lost a heartbreaker to Switzerland. I think Great Britain wins the mixed doubles. I think Canada wins the men's. and the women's is completely up for grabs. Maybe Jenny Jones has an all-time, remember why she was the GOAT of curling performance, but I think the Swiss are dangerous in that one. And so ultimately, I think Great Britain, Canada, and Switzerland kind of share the glory across the doubles markets.
I like that. I'm seeing, I think, like plus 200 for the men, and then Great Britain in the mix. It looks like right on plus 175.
Yeah, those are all fairs. And then the Swiss women, supposedly they have the best women's skip in the world going for the Swiss women. Fascinated to see if that ultimately means anything. But if you go by the Ken Palm numbers, you're betting on the Swiss outright for gold in the curling. But that's not why I'm here. Who cares about curling? There's much more interesting stuff going on.
I want to hear how you approached, because you were able to. I mean, we'll just gloss over. You were able to bet somehow on some markets, some metal markets. Like how did you approach that? I want to hear, because I know how you did it. I know how you did it already. I know how you did it in the summer. And we had the same problem in the summer where there's some new events, monobob and things like that. Like, how did you approach some of those new events? Well, that is the biggest struggle, is like going and finding other info. Like you said, there's no stats for a lot of these sports. But like finding the results, I think our biggest thing during the summer events was we had to go find the world championships of like judo and, the world championships of fucking pretend karate by yourself, kata. And really, like, outside of, those,
is it
a lot of those
kumite?
organizations.
I can't remember. Yeah, kata was the one where you were just like, just
I remember blood poses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we outside of finding like the organization who organizes judo and their world of, the world championship event results and some of the other tournaments, like there was precious little information. Is that kind of what you're running into with these?
No, it's actually easier for the winter for two reasons. It's a lighter lift. There were 400 gold medals in the summer, something like that. There's only 109 for the winter. So just in general, like there's less of a it's less daunting task to go look up every sport and figure out like what the hell's going on. The other things that made it easier than the summer are this year's competitions have not been especially disrupted by COVID. So like they've competed a ton in this calendar year in World Cup events. Right. So basically, like on the world stage, you've seen these athletes competing in December, November, December, January in their respective sports. So you have some signal of current form for basically every sport. Right. And my general approach was to kind of look at it, use 3 pieces of data, and I weighted them this way. The 3 pieces of data: current form, so basically your current standings from your this 21-22 World Cup series, your the market price at bookmaker, because there's basically a market up for everything.
Yeah.
And then lastly, just sort of a legacy of like how good is your country at this event in the last X World Championships, in the last X Olympics. Okay, so I'm giving a little bit of a legacy bump to.
Well, I mean, that speaks to the coaching, to the preparation,
exactly.
To the academies that they have that are prepping these. Somewhere, and again, it's here in Minnesota for the most part, because like the whole women's curling team's from fucking Duluth. But there's there's like these places where the speed skaters are training, and there's Olympic committees that put this shit together.
Yes, there are.
It speaks to infrastructure. You have certain countries.
Yeah, there you go.
They build that infrastructure, and it just continues to pump out quality people.
That's right.
And the other thing is, in certain countries, this stuff just matters the most. I mean, I know it's a Summer Olympic thing, but there's a lot of really good Jamaican spinners because they really care about that. It's a pride thing as a country.
So let's go over what matters to who. Alpine skiing matters to Austria. Like they live and die by that. Like I remember being in Austria during like the World Championships one year, and like the Super Bowl was on, and every television was on like World Cup skiing. They were like, this is the bigger deal. Number 2, I would say the Norway absolutely dominates cross country skiing, biathlon, Nordic combined. Nordic combined is cross country skiing plus ski jumping. It's like basically a little yeah. Well, biathlon combines cross country skiing and shooting. So yeah, two equally wild.
Came up with that.
Some Norwegian fellow that
there's
not a lot of sun. There's not a lot of sun and not a lot of vitamin D up there in the wintertime. So they got a little bit wild with how they were coming up with sports to compete in. But yeah, Norway tends to dominate cross country skiing, biathlon, Nordic combined. Germany dominates the sledding. Dominates bobsled, luge, skeleton. Even you have to give them a little bit of a bump. It's either the engineering or the just something about
to cheat.
Something's going on. They're not cheating in sledding. Come on,
ain't cheating, ain't trying.
They're very, very good. They're just a very good sledding program. The short track speed skating, you got to tip your hat to the South Koreans. In the long track speed skating, it is a Dutch sport. It's top to bottom. They care about long track speed skating, incredibly high commitment there. Figure skating is obviously typically dominated by the Russians. The U.S. and Canada tend to split freestyle skiing and snowboarding events. The Poles are good at ski jumping.
What are we good at, Drew?
What's that?
We're good at everything. Snowboarding
and freestyle skiing and stuff like that. The X Games type of sports is really all that we bring to the table. Team USA is not looking great for this Olympics personally. But
events, I think it's probably a case with most US facing books. You can almost always just bet the US under. Like I got caught in the trap of we found so many gold medals when we went through it. And I bet some USA over like alternate. I said, I'm not paying juice on this.
Yeah.
Because if I'm wrong, they get like 30 medals.
Yeah.
And we were very wrong. So, I mean, are you leaning? Did you bet? I remember looking at your bet.
That's the only thing that's kind of the only thing you can really get liquidity on at this point, because they just didn't open very many medal markets at all this year. I did a little bit of vig free matching on a couple of them, and I'll give you just sort of a general sense. Norway is expected to dominate. They're the prohibitively high favorite for most gold medals. And while I agree they are most likely to get the most golds because of their cross country haul, because of their biathlon haul, I still can't make them that big of a favorite. So I took a shot on Russia basically at like 8-1 or 9-1. I think you can still find some 10-1.
I thought you even got a 10.
Yeah, I think I did get a 10. But the 10-1 ish for Russia to win most golds is a fair long shotty type of shout. And basically, you're just counting on them cheating and like doping and stealing gold medals from Norway in the cross country and biathlon type events. If that happens, then they have a reasonable shot. You're going to need 13 to 15 gold medals to have the highest total count. In general, I think Germany is very, very well priced. They're going to come in right at 11 unless something absolutely insane happens. Norway, I have kind of ranging from about 13 to 16. Their total was 19.5, so I bet that under. Team USA, I have coming in at 7.5. Currently market wide, you can find 8.5s out there. I like that under. Russian most golds is plus 240 on FanDuel. That is awful price. Do not bet that. That is a horrific price. That's horrific.
This is the medal
total medals. That's
total medals.
Yeah. I'm talking strictly gold medals. Forget about the total medal markets.
Total medals is a really high area.
It's way chaotic.
Although
I do think wonky.
Yeah, gold or get the fuck out. Yeah, gold.
I think that probably goes over, and the gold medals go under.
That sounds right. That sounds right to me as well. We're gonna
based on volume. Like we just have so many athletes.
Yeah. I have us coming in at 7.5. So I bet some USA under. And let's talk about how to balance this, because there's a narrow tunnel of where USA is getting their golds. So I think you can bet the under and then independently hit some nice plus money winners on USA winning gold, right? So that's generally my strategy, at least in terms of how I've allocated capital so far. And so I'll give you three. I'll give you 3 USA gold medals at some long shot prices to go along with an under 8.5 total golds for Team USA, right? So we're shooting for a middle here.
All right, write these
down. Number one, this starts this weekend. Women's giant slalom. A name you are familiar with is Michaela Schifrin. She is the reigning gold medal champion in the women's giant slalom. That is her best event. You run the course twice. So, it takes a little bit of the variability, a little bit of the uncertainty out of it, because you get 2 runs. And she is in better form than the market realizes. If you look at her her World Cup results from 21-22, she won the first 2 events cleanly, and then she basically took her foot off the gas. She basically like, well, I can't get hurt. Like it's much more important for me to win a gold medal at the Olympics for all my sponsorship dollars. This is probably my last run at this.
So you get on the Wheaties box.
You get on the Wheaties box by winning a gold medal, and you do it the first weekend in the first event, which is women's giant slalom. So I think in general, she's taken her foot off the gas from some of these races, and she's really in a head-to-head with one other woman, Sarah Hector of Sweden. I personally think Hector is completely overpriced here. She's won recently in the giant slalom since Michaela Schifrin has basically taken her foot off the gas. And she's not, she's older. She's not very decorated. She doesn't have a lot of money and a lot of support. Who's Sarah Hector?
She's the 94, 95 Rockets. Like, she won because somebody else took their foot off the gas by playing baseball.
There you go. Exactly. That's a fair comp. Fair comp entirely. Fair comp. So the asterisk behind all her wins lately, and really, she's not as well supported. She hasn't won as much money over the years. She's really only taken the number one seed in women's giant slalom. This, like, you can look at her year over year. She's like generally in like the 15 to 20 range. Like, so she's sort of, fluky, doing well now. I took Schifrin at plus 300 available at Bookmaker, which is wild that you can get that big of a price on Michaela. But I think she's a fun play in the first weekend of alpine skiing. And that's a fun way for US to get gold. I don't think Michaela Schifrin gets any other golds also. So basically, you want Schifrin to just kick ass in that event, dominate, get gold. Fly home. And not even fly home, but like then go scoop her competitors in some of these other ones. Alpine combined, I don't think she can get it. Definitely slalom, she is lined more likely to win even than giant slalom. But I think she is a sitting duck in that one. The world number 1 slalom skier right now is absolutely dynamite. And I think that'll be a fun one. So let me pull up her name here because I don't want to get this wrong, but women's slalom, we're coming at let's see here.
I mean, are you talking about Petra?
Yeah, Petra. Thank you. Vlhova? From Slovakia. Petra Vlhova. Yes, a famous ova that you can come at in the slalom. So basically, we want Michaela to dominate, and then we want to scoop up a cheap Vlhova price on the slalom later in the program. Another U.S. athlete to watch that I bet is a long shot that I think is a fun one. Men's freestyle skiing big air. We have a decent shot here with a long shot price at plus 370 on Alex Hall. Alex, of course, a good karma for this show. But Alex Hall came into World Championships in Steamboat Springs in December, barely got beat. And in general, he didn't have his best program that day. But the guy that beat him at Worlds is the current market leader. Alex Hall then turned around, went to Aspen for the X Games, landed the first ever 2160 in competition.
Spencer's never done that.
You want to do no, he never has. You want to do the math on 2160 for me? How many rotations that is?
I mean, it's 3 times 720.
A lot.
At six times around in the big air. I could never even land the 1080 in the video game back in the day, so I have no idea how you land a 2160.
Of course, you got a skiing video game. Or are you talking Tony Hawk?
There was a snowboarding video.
There was a snowboarding version of Tony
Hawk. 1080. Yeah.
And it was called 1080.
It was called 1080 something. Yeah, right. But 2160 is absolutely ludicrous. That's what he landed at the X Games. No one's ever landed in a competition. They didn't even really know how to score it because they were like, what the fuck was that? And so if he lands that trick in the big air, he wins. I got him at plus 370. You can still bet him in the plus 330 range. The big air, I think, is on Tuesday or Wednesday. So that'll be a fun one. Alex Hall, Team USA wins gold in that one. Also, there's no potential judging tomfoolery in that one. There is some potential judging tomfoolery on the women's freestyle skiing to be aware of. The biggest controversy as we head into these Olympic Games, and one of the bigger stories, is there's an athlete named Eileen Gu. She is born in the United States. She is 18 years old. She has massive massive sponsorship deals. You look at her Instagram page and it's just like Louis Vuitton, Tiffany, Oakley, like all, luxury brands like up and down that she is sponsored by. She elected to compete under the Chinese flag in these Olympics, probably for dollar reasons, probably for yen reasons.
And NIL.
They secured the bag for her to compete under the Chinese flag, and she has a realistic shot at 3 gold medals in slopestyle, big air, and half pipe among freestyle skiing. And because those are judged events, the likelihood that there is a little bit of finger on the scale for China, I'd say it's pretty good. She's probably going to be one of the bigger stories. This is her big breakout Olympics. Again, she's 18 years old. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money behind her to do well at these Olympics. So just be aware of that.
We heard the Russian judge. It goes back.
Oh, weird.
It's the Chinese judge. So all right.
Those are two fun ones. One other long shot.
Give me one more because I'm already late to a golf meeting.
Men's long track speed skating. We have a men's hopeful in the 1500 meters. Joey Mantilla. He is currently holding the top time in the world in the 1500 meter long track speed skate. He defeated all of these, all of his competition in the World Cup events this year. You have to go back 4 years to find anyone who has skated faster than his time from December of this year. He is currently plus 510 at Bookmaker. I bet him this morning to win the long track 1500 meter skate. So here's what we're hoping for: 3 gold medals across those 3 sports for USA athletes. And then that's all she wrote for us. Maybe women's hockey. We'll cheer for women's hockey too. USA women's hockey gets us the 4th gold, and then that's it for Team USA.
I dig it. Thomas Kroll's a tough out, but I believe in this. I've been keeping up a little with the Telegram. A lot going on in there.
Oh, for which one? For the
Olympic Telegram.
For 1500 meter speed skating.
Yeah,
that's where Kroll is.
Thomas Kroll is he's in that market. That's your competition. I believe there's
I was worried about the Chinese guy.
Is All right, well, I do got it wrong.
I can't say that. I can't say that name.
Zhou Yang Nin.
Yeah, that was the guy I was worried about, and I'm only worried about him.
Might be in the
I'm worried about him because
that's why you're getting a good number. So,
okay,
as everyone knows. All right, Drew, I appreciate it. I wish we had more time. Maybe we'll do something. Who knows? You know what? Olympic spaces. That'd be a fun thing. Maybe next week. I don't know. Let's get weird with it.
That's a good idea.
I like this idea.
That'd be fun to get some other, because we could get
everybody's doing
do it
spaces now. Yeah.
Well, you could get a time where our French friend could pop in and talk.
Ooh,
you don't even need to invite. You could make some of the people from the Telegram channel speakers. Let's brainstorm on this afterwards. But yeah, I'm gonna run because I'm already late for a damn meeting. Thanks to Drew here, it's fine. I'll live. But Drew Dinsick, the whale capper, whale_capper on Twitter. If you're not following him already, why are you even on gambling Twitter? Appreciate him stopping in. Alex, best of luck tonight in your NBA. Hopefully I go about 7-4. I'm projecting a 7-4 day for me, not counting the Bulls alt overs. And with that, I'll catch you guys Friday.